On the day of the wedding, Laura was absent. I called her, but it was a man who answered. Laura is in the shower. What do you need her for? Without a word, I hung up. 5 years ended, and the system notified me that my simp mission was complete. I happily packed my things to leave. Laura, with red-rimmed eyes, begged me, "Didn't you love me? Let's start over, please." I laughed. Start over? Even a dog would shake its head. Chapter 1. I had been Laura's simp for 5 years. Maybe it was out of pity, but she actually agreed to marry me. But on the wedding day, she still didn't show up. The MC pulled me aside. "Mr. He, why hasn't Ms. Ku arrived yet? The bride missing at her own wedding. How am I supposed to proceed with this?" The wedding venue was chosen by Laura, and so was the ceremony. She said her parents divorced early, and she wasn't close to her relatives, so she only wanted my family and friends at the wedding. She also said she was a strong woman who didn't want to be coaxed into drinking, wished a lifetime of happiness, or told to have kids soon. She asked my parents not to say anything, and I agreed. I spent a long time preparing for this wedding, making arrangements with my family and relatives. But even so, she treated it all like a joke and didn't take it seriously. She was determined to embarrass me. Chapter 2. I bowed and smiled apologetically to the MC, slipping him a pack of cigarettes. "I'm really sorry. I'll give her a call." I hurried backstage, dialed her number, but a man answered. "Laura is in the shower. What do you need her for?" On our wedding day, Laura was showering at some other guy's place. A midday shower. What else could they have been doing? The more I thought about it, the angrier I became. I clenched my fist, trying not to think too much about it. "I'm Julian." I introduced myself. "Get Laura on the phone." There was a pause on the other end. "Hold on." After a while, Laura's lazy voice came through. "What's up? It's our wedding day, and you didn't come," I said. Laura listened and burst out laughing. "Wedding? I was joking with you a few days ago. You actually took it seriously." I held back my emotions and tried reasoning with her. "But you agreed. And besides you, my parents, my family and friends, and even the MC are all here. We can't just call it off because you say it was a joke, right? I asked you several times if you were joking, and you answered seriously that you weren't." Laura stopped laughing, sighed impatiently. "Julian, stop being ridiculous. Marriage isn't a joke. I'm being ridiculous." "Who's the one being ridiculous here?" Suppressing my anger, I said, At least show up. Just for appearances." Laura's patience had nearly run out, and her tone turned cutting. "Julian, you've been my simp for 5 years, and you still don't get it." "Yeah, I almost forgot." She just saw me as a disposable plaything, a simp, hoping for love. I hung up without another word and quietly put my phone back in my pocket. At that moment, the system notification sounded in my head. 5-year limit reached. Rage value satisfied. Simp mission complete. Press 1 to stay with Laura and forfeit your reward. Press 2 to leave Laura and claim your reward. Please make your choice soon. I didn't hesitate for a second and pressed the button. I choose 2. Claim the reward. Leave Laura. Chapter 3. When Laura had her fill of fun and returned home, I had already moved everything out. She called my name a couple of times, and when she realized I wasn't there, she stood still for a moment, then threw her purse heavily onto the sofa. She took out her phone and called me. "Julian, what is this supposed to mean?" "What do you mean? It was just missing the wedding. Is it really that big of a deal?" On the other end, Laura's voice was full of disdain and irritation. "I've already taken care of the wedding." "You're right. Marriage isn't child's play, so I've canceled it." There was a moment of silence before she spoke. "Are you mad at me?" "No, I just think it's not worth it." "Not worth it?" I looked at the black card with unlimited credit that was my reward from the system and replied calmly. "Laura, I've figured it out. I have a long life ahead, and I don't want to keep revolving around you. Have you been drinking?" "I had a few sips, but I'm perfectly sober." "Where are you?" "I'll drive over and pick you up." In 5 years, I'd never heard Laura say the words, "pick you up and bring you home." To her, our house was never a home. At most, it was just a place to rest. I remember when she got drunk at a bar, I told her I would take her home. I carefully helped her into the passenger seat, and she laughed at me, resting her dizzy head against the seat. "Julian, are you my dog?" "Laura, stop fooling around." She didn't listen. Instead, she wrapped her arm around my neck, catching me off guard. I stumbled, reaching out to steady myself against the car. "Julian, bark for me, will you?" I didn't answer her, but she leaned in and kissed me. "You must always be my dog. Stay by my side forever." Back then, I stayed silent. But today, maybe I could give her an answer. I said, "Laura, goodbye." Chapter 4. I blocked Laura's number. I gave my parents a lot of money and told them to go travel. They worriedly asked what had happened between me and Laura, but I just waved it off, smiling and saying I was finally free. Once I settled my parents, I took my black card and left the country too. I heard from friends back home that Laura had tried to ask about me a few times, but always came up empty-handed. I just smiled. Who was Laura? She had plenty of resources, finding me wouldn't be difficult. She just didn't care enough to try. Perhaps asking my friends was just for show. After all, she never loved me. I stayed abroad for 3 years, studying design, which I had always been good at. When I returned home, I became a designer. It had always been my dream. Maybe it was just my bad luck. But my first client was actually Laura. When Laura saw me, she was visibly stunned. Instinctively, she moved as if to hug me, but her rationality stopped her in time. MS. Coup. This is Julian, one of our most capable designers here. He just returned after studying abroad. My boss introduced me, giving me a meaningful look. I understood and extended my hand. MS. Coup. I hope we can work well together. Laura opened her mouth but chose silence instead. She reached out, shook my hand tightly, as if afraid I might disappear if she let go. I pulled my hand back without hesitation. My boss, always observant, laughed and said, judging by MS. Coup's expression, you two know each other. Laura's eyes shifted slightly. What would she say? That I was her ex-husband? Or just a simp she didn't even care to name? Probably the latter, right? I scoffed at myself, speaking up before she could. We don't know each other. I've never met MS. Coup before, so there's no connection. Chapter 5. Laura never thought that after 3 years, the loyal simp who used to revolve around her would return as a high-level designer, and, when faced with the person he once loved so desperately, would coldly say they didn't know each other. She stared at me, incredulous. MS. Coup? MS. Coup? My boss called her several times before Laura came back to her senses. Throughout the rest of the design presentation, Laura didn't hear a word. She just stared at me, dazed. When my boss occasionally asked her opinion, she simply nodded or shook her head absent-mindedly. After it ended, my boss asked me to take Laura back. When we got to the underground parking lot, I politely opened the car door for her, but she stood still, refusing to get in. Mr. He, you've really made a name for yourself now, haven't you? Laura gave a bitter smile. So gentlemanly and considerate, yet somehow, I feel like there's a distance between us. MS. Coup. You must be joking. We were never close, so how could we be distant? I gestured for her to get in the car again. Laura looked up at me, something unidentifiable brewing in her cold eyes. Julian, you know, I've been looking for you for a long time. She didn't bother with pretenses, speaking directly. MS. Coup. Let's not bring up the past. It would be quite inconvenient for me. I spread my hands and smiled. Laura's expression froze. She bit her lower lip and sighed heavily. When you left without a word before, I thought you were just throwing a tantrum. Maybe she wanted to explain why she hadn't looked for me these 3 years. Did she think I needed an explanation? But her thoughts, her actions, no longer mattered to me now. What she thought, how she felt, it had nothing to do with me. Whatever MS. Coup thinks, that's your freedom. I smiled politely at her. Laura fell silent again. MS. Coup. Please get in the car. I'll take you home. I still have design work to handle. All right, Laura. With no choice, conceded. Chapter 6. After dropping Laura off, my car ran out of gas on the way back. I stopped to refuel, used the restroom, and when I returned, there was an extra person in the car. For a moment, I thought I was seeing things. The girl was dressed expensively, but her hair was a mess, her face was dirty, and there was mud on her stockings. I blinked in confusion. Miss, did you get into the wrong car? The girl looked at me like I was her last hope, her innocent eyes welling up with tears. Handsome guy, no, Daddy, please take me in. I'm begging you. Great. I stopped for gas and ended up with a daughter. I was suddenly 10 or 20 years older. Where was the justice in that? Could this girl be trying to scam me? I pointed to the door. Get out. How can you leave me all alone in the middle of the pitch-black night? I'm defenseless. What if some bad guy drags me into an alley and does all sorts of things to me? You'd regret it, wouldn't you? Think about it. An innocent young girl called you daddy, and you just left her here. You'd be devastated with guilt. Daddy, daddy, I'm calling you daddy. Is this girl an actress? That can't be right. Judging by her clothes, she seemed like a rich family's heiress. But why did she lack the dignity you'd expect from one? Get out of the car, I repeated. I didn't know her, and she obviously wasn't short of money. I had no reason to help her. What if I ended up getting accused of kidnapping? Where would I even begin to explain that? I kicked her out of the car and drove off. In the rearview mirror, I saw her still standing there, dazed. A few minutes later, I sighed, made a U-turn, and drove back. When she saw me, she threw her arms around me in excitement, then quickly let go, realizing it wasn't appropriate. On the way back, she kept talking nonstop. How could my dad think like this? How can he treat my marriage like it's a game? It's my marriage, not his. If he wants a family alliance, he should marry himself off. Why use me as a bargaining chip? Could I not run away? If I didn't, I'd really be stuck with some random dog of a man I've never even met. Tang is just rotten to the core. He froze my cards when he found out I ran away. Isn't that like taking my life? After all these years, that's still his go-to move. From now on, he's no longer my dad. You're my dad now. My real dad. Daddy. Daddy, me. My patience was wearing thin. Can you just shut up? One more word, and I'll kick you out of the car. Jessica nodded vigorously, miming zipping her lips, then smiled at me. Well, it seems I've picked up a handful. Chapter 7. After bringing Jessica home, I told her to clean herself up. She came out wrapped in a towel, sitting cross-legged on the sofa, watching JoJo and munching on sunflower seeds, all while in front of a stranger. Why aren't you dressed? I quickly turned around and tossed her a long coat. My clothes are dirty, and I don't have any spares. I always wear a robe at home after a bath. Jessica blinked at me. Rich girls have no common sense. It seems she was nothing like Laura. Jessica was genuinely clueless. Only an idiot would walk around in a bathrobe at home. Laura wasn't like that at all. Laura knew full well how strong a man's desires could be, especially after being played for nearly 5 years. She'd purposely wear a robe, drinking red wine gracefully in front of me, dancing to classical music. She poured the unfinished wine on me, then stepped on my pants. My feet are sore from dancing. Rub them for me. She looked down at me like I was her plaything. She laughed at me, disdained me, toyed with me, then dressed up and went out with other men, and I would be left alone, cleaning up the mess she made of the house. I really used to be pathetic. Don't wear a bathrobe in front of me, I warned Jessica. Jessica heard the anger in my voice. She walked over, stood on her tiptoes, and smoothed my frown. You're mad. I'm sorry. I was caught off guard and stood frozen. That gesture calmed me down. Yeah, I'm not Laura's pet anymore. Jessica is not Laura. If I really want to escape Laura's shadow, why should I be taking it out on Jessica? I sighed, took the long coat from her hands, and draped it over her shoulders. I'm fine. I'll take you shopping for some clothes tomorrow. Really? Oh yeah, you're the best dad ever. It's just a loan. You'll have to pay me back. Stingy Julian. Drama queen Jessica. We both laughed. Chapter 8. The next day, I took Jessica out for lunch, and then we went shopping. We'd just entered the mall, hadn't even bought any clothes yet, when I ran into Laura. She was holding hands with a man who was walking alongside her. His style was similar to mine, and even his face bore a slight resemblance. He was talking animatedly while Laura remained silent, her face indifferent. To be honest, the guy seemed to have something going for him. Laura had been through countless men, whether with me or others. She'd always taken a superior, manipulative stance. To her, men were tools to please her. For her to be holding hands with a man, communicating as equals, even dating, no one else had ever managed that. Laura noticed me and hurriedly let go of the man's hand. She walked over to me, her eyes full of surprise. But when she saw Jessica, her expression instantly turned disappointed. What a coincidence. Laura forced a bitter smile, then pointed to the man next to her. He's just a friend. Don't misunderstand. Me misunderstand? Misunderstand what? She was just shopping, holding hands with a guy. Whether he was her friend or her lover, it didn't matter to me. What was there to misunderstand? Jessica sensed the awkward atmosphere and gave a sly smile, wrapping her arms around mine and teasingly said, You said yesterday that you'd only ever love me. Now you're staring at another woman. Am I not good enough for you? Is it because my chest isn't as big as hers, or my body not as soft? Julian, you're such a jerk. Laura and I both stared in shock. Are you seeing someone? Laura asked me. Yeah, I'm his girlfriend. Who are you? Jessica answered before I could. I'm his fiancé. Laura spoke without hesitation. Fiancé. She really dared to say that. Back when she called off the wedding, that wasn't how she put it. You're his fiancé. Are you joking? Lady, what kind of fiancé goes shopping holding hands with another guy? Jessica covered her mouth and chuckled mischievously. Anyone who didn't know better would think you were having an affair. Oh, excuse my bluntness. I hope you won't hold it against me. You. Laura's face turned green. Ignoring Jessica, she looked at me and continued. Julian, I've wanted to ask since last time we met. These past 3 years, you haven't contacted me once. You even blocked me. I haven't had a chance to talk to you. How have you been these years? Chapter 9. Who would have thought that after 3 years of no contact, even Laura had learned how to speak like a normal person? Did the sun rise from the west today? I'm doing well. MS. Cool. No need to worry, I said. Then I pulled Jessica to leave, but Laura grabbed the corner of my coat. What's going on here? MS. Cool. I need to take her shopping for clothes. Could you let go? I tugged at my coat, but it wouldn't budge. She held on tightly. MS. Cool? I urged again. Laura stayed silent. I had no patience left for this, and snapped. Laura, enough already. To my surprise, she spoke quietly. Don't go. She hung her head, so I couldn't see her face. A few drops of water splashed onto the dry ground. Were those tears? No way. I gave a self-mocking smile, thinking I must be crazy to think Laura was crying for me. Julian, don't go. I'm begging you, she said again. Her voice was muffled and hoarse, so different from before. The men beside her stared at me for a few moments, then looked at Laura. He sighed, removed the jacket that matched mine, took off the same necklace I was wearing, and walked away, hands in his pockets. Jessica, tired of waiting, decided to fully commit to the act. She took off my coat and tossed it at Laura. I know my boyfriend is charming, but you can't just put on a pity act in front of his real girlfriend. You say you don't want him to leave. Where were you before? I was just. Laura bit her lip, as if words were caught in her throat. She looked up and met my gaze, and I instinctively looked away. No need to explain. I put my arm around Jessica's shoulders. Jessica, let's go. Oh, Jessica nodded, walking away without a backward glance. It was then Laura realized she was no longer needed by my side, and at that moment, her tears finally poured out like a broken dam. After several steps, Jessica glanced back at Laura and said, "Hey, Julian, she's crying." Was she crying? For me? Forget it. It doesn't matter anymore. Chapter 10. Back home. Jessica couldn't help but complain. What's with you and Laura? You two had a thing. You know her. How many female powerhouses are there in the business world? Jessica took a bite of her lollipop. She's got skills, but her personal life is a mess. Hey, Julian, don't get tangled up with her again. Nothing good will come of it. I looked down, organizing my clothes. I won't. Never again would I have anything to do with her. That night, Jessica insisted I watch horror movies with her. It wasn't until midnight that she went to bed, but I ended up losing sleep. When I finally started drifting off, I fell into a nightmare. In the dream, I went back to when the system first bonded to me. At the time, I was accomplished, having graduated from a top university's best program, full of passion, determined to become an outstanding top designer. But all my talents were torn apart, just because the system said, if you want to live, do as I say. Like a flawless mirror shattered into countless pieces with a single crash, I had to abandon my dreams, my dignity, my sense of shame to become a simp, all to fulfill the system's twisted whims. The system often brainwashed me, saying, once you complete your mission, you'll have endless wealth. Isn't that better than working for a living? Talk about dreams. That's nonsense. I silently drew my design drafts, only to tear them up again, using the action to vent my frustration. Like a stagnant pool of water, no matter how much it churned, at most, it would cause a few ripples on the surface. I had resisted before, but what was the outcome? Car crashes, illnesses. I endured them all, one after another, and then lived through it again, experiencing it repeatedly. I had no choice but to face reality. To hell with dreams, survival was the most important thing. So, I started pursuing Laura, just as the system demanded. At first, Laura wouldn't even look at me. I went to her with a bouquet of roses to confess, and she just stared at me coldly, making me uneasy. She was only 3 years older than me, but I felt worlds apart from her. I shivered involuntarily. She finally spoke. You say you like me. Why? I was stumped. Why? To stay alive, obviously, but I couldn't say that. I had to improvise. Because I admire you. She seemed to take it as a joke, giving me a mocking look. How old are you? I'm 22. I meant down there. Laura pointed lightly to my crotch. I was speechless. Who knew that Laura, seemingly cold and distant, was actually a shameless woman? My first confession ended with me fleeing in embarrassment. Chapter 11. For my second confession, I gave her a diamond ring, cost me just over $2,000, saved from my living expenses. I can never forget the look of disdain in her eyes that day. She obviously didn't care for it, but she took it and put it on, then said, "You like me so much, want to get a room? I want to be in a relationship with you." A relationship? Laura stroked the ring, then chuckled. All right. That night, she took me to a hotel, but the next day, she was gone. When I went to her office to find her, security stopped me at the entrance. I tried calling her, but realized I didn't even have her number. I sat at the entrance, waiting the whole day. When she finally came out, I stood up, ready to ask her out to the movies, but she was arm in arm with another man. You said you wanted to be in a relationship with me, I said. She smiled. Yeah, didn't we already have one yesterday? Yesterday? A one-day relationship, does that even count? That's not right, I said naively, trying to reason with her. A relationship doesn't work like that. She laughed and patted my shoulder. Kiddo, don't push your luck. Later, I kept bringing gifts to her, begging her to date me. She couldn't refuse me and agreed to give it a try. She still went out drinking and socializing with different men every day, but unlike before, she'd make time to go on dates with me. One time, she was negotiating a business deal that involved design, so she brought me along. During the discussion, I pointed out flaws in the other party's design draft. They got furious, insulted me as a wet behind-the-ears amateur, and said if I was making money by selling my body, I should just stay a pretty face and stop causing trouble. For the first time, Laura lost her temper in front of everyone. She ordered security to throw them out, vowing never to work with them again. She picked up the draft I'd corrected and said, "Your ideas are good, Julian. You're very talented." See how ironic that was? The person I had to become a simp for was acknowledging my talent. I felt a wave of bitterness and helplessness. She frowned and asked, "What's wrong?" I shook my head. "Nothing." She smiled and kissed me. "You're talented. You're not just a pretty face. And you're not making money by selling yourself either," Laura added. showing me the ring I'd bought her during my confession. Look, aren't we in a relationship? Chapter 12. I can still remember what Laura said to me back then. For a while, I even thought that staying by her side like this wouldn't be so bad. She understood my thoughts, my ambitions. Maybe, I thought, I'd just been prejudiced against her before, maybe she was actually a good person. But reality soon crushed that notion once again. Just when I thought Laura and I were growing closer, I caught her in bed with another man. By then, I'd already moved in with her. I was carrying groceries to the door, still chatting about some mundane things that had happened today. But the moment I opened the door, I saw clothes scattered across the floor, and Laura in her underwear with a half-naked man. Seeing me, Laura didn't even look surprised. Instead, she motioned for me to come over. I swallowed my anger, put the grocery bag in the kitchen, and walked over to her, demanding, Laura, what am I to you? Really? A plaything? Or am I what that designer said, a pretty face selling my body? She nonchalantly fed a cherry to the men beside her, then replied, whichever you prefer. The person who once acknowledged my ideals and identity was now the one destroying them. Laura, are you like this with everyone? Of course not. At least I agreed to be in a relationship with you, didn't I? She tried to kiss me, but I turned my face away, refusing to look at her. She sneered, Julian, do you really think you're so important? Back when that designer insulted you, I only stood up for you because I didn't want to lose face. Did you really think you were something special? Are you pretending to be righteous now? Pretending you're untouched by filth? Julian, do you know how ridiculous that is? All those design ideas of yours are worthless. Apart from satisfying me in bed, what else can you do? Did you actually think you were some kind of prodigy? Do you think you're so amazing that even I have to be loyal to you? But I told you from the start, I was just trying it out with you. Laura tore me down completely. She forced me to meet her gaze. Julian, from beginning to end, you've always been just one of my simps. With that, she went back to the man, straddling him, her body moving in rhythm. Even while kissing him, she would glance at me from time to time, as if to challenge me. The man, unbothered by my presence, tore open a condom wrapper and put it on. Laura stroked him, then looked at me. Well, are you going to keep watching? Chapter 13. Once again, I fled in embarrassment. I felt awful, my stomach churning. I wanted to vomit, like a fish out of water, dying in a familiar environment. There was nowhere to escape, nowhere to hide. I couldn't breathe. Julian, Julian, wake up. Hey, wake up. In a daze, I heard someone calling my name. I groggily opened my eyes to see Jessica straddling me, yanking on my collar, slapping my face without mercy. I rubbed my temples, bewildered, and sat up. What are you doing? I pushed Jessica away. Jessica, hands on her hips, fumed at me. I should be asking you. You were crying and screaming in your sleep, making such a racket. I thought you were possessed. Did I talk in my sleep? I turned on the lamp beside me. What did I say? Well, Jessica scratched her head and looked away. Seems like it was something embarrassing, probably about Laura. I got it. I got up, went to the kitchen, and downed a glass of water. Only then did I notice Jessica was dressed rather skimpy. I couldn't help but get angry, pointing at her. How many times do I have to tell you, dress properly in my house? Do you want me to kick you out? Oh, come on. It's bedtime, who cares about all that? Jessica giggled, grabbing my arm. Don't be mad. Seeing I wasn't responding, she continued to try her luck. Julian, Julian, brother he, Appa, Daddy. I shook her off. Are you this casual with everyone? Jessica froze. The air around us seemed to solidify. I regretted saying it as soon as I did, probably because of everything with Laura. I'd started to have a psychological shadow, making me overly sensitive. I just wanted to remind Jessica to dress properly, to be wary of men, but it came out wrong. I sighed. Jessica, just go. She said nothing, turning and leaving. Makes sense, she should just leave without a word. I'm already used to it. It's fine, being alone at home isn't so bad. I'd always been alone before, hadn't I? I placed the cup on the table and went back to bed. Just as I was about to turn off the lamp, Jessica appeared at the bedroom door. She'd put on a thick, long coat over her skimpy pajamas, covering everything tightly, just as I'd told her to before. Tang, Jessica. I rubbed my eyes. You didn't leave. Did you forget something? She still didn't reply. Instead, she walked over, climbed onto my bed, straddled me, and gently held my face, kissing me deeply. I wanted to push her away. I should have pushed her away, but I didn't. Maybe it was the nightmare messing with my head. Maybe, just like Laura said, I'm a complete idiot. Maybe I really am useless. I can't even muster the strength to push a frail girl away. She kissed me for a good 2 minutes, then placed a light kiss on my forehead. She ruffled my hair. Julian, don't be sad. Okay. Chapter 14. How did she know I was sad? Just a few minutes ago, I was yelling at her. At worst, she might have thought I was angry, right? Why did she think I was sad? I don't know what Laura did to you, or what happened between you two, but Julian, it's all in the past now. She pressed her forehead against mine. It's all right. The nightmares will end, and you'll shine. It's okay, she said softly, patting my back like she was comforting a hurt child. That night, I slept surprisingly well. The next day, I attended a gala. Unluckily, Laura was there, and so was the senior designer who had previously insulted me, saying I was just a pretty face selling my body. He recognized me right away. Hey, the dog's back. Where's your owner? He looked down on me, clinking his glass against mine. Been to quite a few events like this with Laura. Huh? And you still say you're not a pretty face? Do you think you could attend an event like this on your own? He was deliberately loud, and soon everyone gathered around to watch the scene. Laughter again. Mocking laughter. Scorn and ridicule. I presented my invitation. Mr. Lee, please open your eyes and take a good look. Don't underestimate people. Sam snorted, rolling his eyes. Still, it's all thanks to Laura. One invitation per person, all invited for their capabilities. I wasn't brought in by someone else. I walked in here step by step with this invitation. I emphasized, Mr. Lee, I've shown you my invitation, yet you still assume I got in through connections. Such pettiness and narrow-mindedness are truly unparalleled. In some ways, I suppose that is unique. You, in front of so many people, especially at an event like this. Sam dared not retaliate and slunk away to the restroom, but that didn't stop the rumors. People started pointing at me, whispering among themselves. Julian, maybe you should leave for now. Staying here will just make things worse, Laura said, feigning concern. All of this came from you, didn't it? I sipped my wine calmly. Cool. It's too late to play the good person now, don't you think? My boss, standing nearby, angrily grabbed my glass. Julian, is that how you talk to MS? Cool? Haven't you caused enough trouble? Everyone's eyes turned toward me once again. I had become the target of everyone's ire. Some called me shameless for relying on connections to join high society. Others said I was arrogant, ungrateful to the person who brought me into the circle. But everything I had earned with my own hands. Step by step. What did it have to do with Laura? How was I shameless? How was I arrogant? How was I ungrateful? Their filthy words were drowning me. Then the host appeared, shouting, "Who's making things difficult for my guest?" Chapter 15. The old man appeared before everyone, leaning on a cane. Following behind him was a quirky young girl. It was Jessica. Old Man Tang's stern gaze silenced everyone. Jessica peeked out from behind him, waving at me. Laura saw it all, her face darkening as she silently drank her wine. "Mr. He is my guest," Old Man Tang said. "One I went through a lot of trouble to bring back from overseas. And you dare insult him?" He then walked over to my boss, Watson's founder, working as your assistant. "And you dare yell at him? Old Ming, do you really not want to be in this industry anymore?" Hearing the old man's words, my boss was stunned, staring at me in disbelief, and the others were equally shocked. After a moment, my boss muttered, "Watson's founder? Watson Design? Julian, no, Mr. He, you never mentioned that when you joined us." "No way. Someone like me would never have dared hire you." I was so blind. So blind. Laura was just as stunned, her eyes finally showing something other than contempt, an emotion she couldn't quite put into words. "Holy crap, Julian, you're Watson's founder," Jessica whispered. "Isn't that even more impressive than my grandfather? I guess I've really hit the jackpot." I smiled at her. "Enough chatter, you talkative pest." Then, facing the crowd, I said confidently, "I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce myself." Tonight's gala was co-hosted by Mr. Tang and myself. Many of you may be somewhat familiar with the brand I founded, so I'll keep it brief. Watson's audience has primarily been overseas, but now I'm relocating it back home and will be working in partnership with Tang Corporation. I also look forward to collaborating with other companies. The room fell silent. All the whispers and speculation had vanished. After the gala, Jessica stuck to me like glue. "Wow, you're like a giant among men. Talk like a normal person." Jessica giggled. "Julian, I really like you." I shook my head, amused. "What goes on in your mind every day, I wonder? Weren't you avoiding your grandfather? Why'd you voluntarily go back? Aren't you afraid he'll make you marry for business?" "I am." Jessica pouted. "But I heard Laura was coming to this gala, and I was worried about you." "I feel better being by your side." We walked side by side under the streetlights, our shadows lengthening behind us. She continued, "I figured if worse came to worst, I'd just tell my grandfather I already had someone I liked. I'm his only granddaughter. He wouldn't be so heartless as to send me away." "Right. Who do you like?" I asked. Jessica paused, her cheeks reddening. "Julian, why do you have to be so annoying sometimes?" "Do I?" "You do." I laughed, ruffling her hair. "But now I don't have to worry about that." Jessica rubbed her hands together, a sly grin spreading across her face. "Actually, a business marriage doesn't sound so bad, Julian. Why don't you think about it?" Chapter 16. Just as she said that, Laura suddenly appeared behind us, calling my name. Jessica and I exchanged a glance, and she instinctively took my hand. I patted the back of her hand. Jessica understood my message, leaning close to whisper, "I'll wait for you by that street lamp over there. Come find me when you're done, and we'll go home together." "All right," I promised her, Once Jessica had walked away, Laura finally dared to approach me. I'm sorry about tonight. I didn't mean to embarrass you. It's fine. It doesn't matter anymore. You're still as brilliant as ever. Thank you. Laura was clearly struggling to find something to say, but when she couldn't think of anything else, she skipped the small talk and played the emotional card. Could we go back to how we were? Did we ever have a past? Julian. Laura took my hand. Can't you stop treating me like this? Shouldn't you keep your distance? Jessica is watching. Laura's hand froze, then slowly let go. We stood face to face, the dust in the lamplight blending into her figure. We stared at each other in silence. Finally, she spoke, her voice low. Do you not love me anymore? What a strange question. I didn't even know if I had ever loved her in the first place. So how could I answer whether I still loved her or not? It seemed like this wasn't even the kind of question that should come up between us. Laura, I think we should end things now, I said. I was your simp for 5 years. I swallowed my pride. I lowered myself. Do you have any idea how hard those 5 years were for me? I'm sorry. I don't need your apology. I said I'm here to end things with my past. I took a deep breath. There was a time when I didn't even dare come see you. Just seeing you made me feel suffocated. But now, I think it's time for me to move on. As for you, I don't know what kind of feelings you have for me, but I'm sure it isn't love. My leaving is just you losing a toy you got used to playing with. Now that I've returned, now that I have everything, you're envious, and you want more. Laura, you are truly a selfish and pitiable person. If it weren't for Jessica, I might have spent my whole life under your shadow. Now, I've let go. So please don't come after me again and make me unhappy. Laura, goodbye. Chapter 17. I turned to leave, but Laura hurried to block my way. You think you can just end this? Laura clutched at my clothes. Julian, you were the one who confessed to me first, who approached me first, and now you want to leave me behind. Living in the past. It's true that I was wrong to pursue you, but were the things you did to me any better? We're equally bad. No, we can't just end it like this. Laura became emotional, her eyes red as she begged me. Didn't you like me before? Let's start over, please. She humbled herself for the sake of a mere plaything. It must have been difficult for her. Start over. Even a dog would shake its head. I've said this long ago. We never had a start. I strode away toward Jessica, not giving Laura the slightest chance to hold me back. On the way home, Jessica clung tightly to my hand. Let me tell you, I was so scared when Laura grabbed your hand earlier. What were you afraid of? I was afraid she'd take you away. She won't. I know. I trust you. That's why I stood there waiting, not making a fuss, quietly waiting for you. With that, Jessica snuggled up to me. What are you doing? Are you a cat? No. You have no romance in you. The moonlight spilled across the ground. Jessica talking and laughing beside me as we walked through the silvery glow. Time felt still and serene. Extra, Laura's perspective. Today, a boy confessed to me. He came up to me with a bouquet of roses. He smiled as he handed them to me, saying he liked me. I was delighted, but it seemed he didn't recognize me. He thought that the day he confessed to me was our first meeting, but in reality, our first encounter was long before that day. I had always excelled at my studies, but everyone around me said that as a girl, I'd never amount to much. My parents died young, and only my grandmother raised me by collecting trash. Neighbors talked endlessly about me, their gossip like sharp blades piercing my heart. But fortunately, I was determined. I skipped grades and got into the best high school in the city. I worked hard for 3 years, but I still couldn't shake off the heavy weight that seemed to crush me. In my senior year, the weather was unusually hot. The cicadas screeched deafening. I went up to the rooftop to catch some air, and I happened to meet a boy from the middle school section. Our school's middle and high school were on the same campus. Are you here to watch the clouds too? He asked. Clouds? Yeah, all kinds of clouds. What do you think it would be like to wear them as clothes? Do you like designing? Yeah. Are you from the high school? No one really comes here. Are you here to jump because of stress? What? Just kidding. He looked up, raising his hand to block the sun. What do you want to do in the future? Why ask that? Because you're in high school, you must have some dreams. Right. I do. My grandma says there's no future in the countryside. I need to work hard in the big city so people won't look down on me. I want to be my own boss. Oh, you could do it. Why do you say that? Just a feeling. You definitely can. I stared at the man standing before me now, holding the roses and confessing. Had he really not recognized me yet? I stared at him until he started to feel uncomfortable, and then I looked away. I guess he really had forgotten me. I could see right away that he wasn't being truthful. To him, I was just a stranger now. To say he liked me, if it wasn't love at first sight, then he must have had another motive. What was his motive? Money, fame. And what about the dreams he once spoke of? I accepted his flowers, but I didn't respond to his confession. Instead, I jokingly flirted with him. As expected, he ran away, scared. I hummed a tune as I returned home, placing the roses in a vase. They smelled so sweet. What a shame, the person who gave them wasn't quite the same as before. When Julian confessed to me for the second time, he gave me a ring. The style was so outdated that even the old ladies in my neighborhood wouldn't wear it, but it was something he bought with money saved through frugality, and I really liked it. I agreed to try dating him. I brought him to a hotel, deliberately telling him I was going to take a shower and asking him to wait on the bed. His face turned completely red. He was really so cute. The next day, he came to see me. I was overjoyed and wanted to meet him, but I overheard someone say that he was only clinging to me for my money. I wasn't too worried. If he wanted money, I'd give it to him. But then I heard someone else say that Julian already had a girlfriend. I began to hesitate. Was he just playing with my feelings? I reshaped myself into a frivolous and loose character and drove Julian away. Later, I found out it was just a misunderstanding, and I took Julian back, agreeing to be in a relationship. I knew Julian didn't love me, so I kept my distance. He didn't understand my feelings, and I didn't understand his. There was always an unbridgeable gap between us. Once, during a business meeting, Julian pointed out flaws in the design draft. His talent was evident, and I grew increasingly uneasy. If he was only with me for money, then once his talent shone through, once he was adored by many, once he no longer lacked money, and no longer needed me, what would happen to me? I was selfish. I would rather Julian stay by my side as a nobody than have him leave me. I denied his talent, belittled him, humiliated him, and broke him down. He didn't need to do anything. He just needed to stay by my side as a pretty face. I wrapped myself up in layers. I became less and less like myself. I acted like a lunatic. I even brought other men to our home, making Julian watch me kiss them. I wanted him to think that I wasn't dependent on him, that he should cherish me more, but it was so disgusting. I hated myself for it. Kissing others was disgusting too. Julian proposed to me. I was thrilled for a long time. I pretended to be reserved, saying I'd give him an answer in a couple of days, but when I was ready to say yes, I saw him with another woman. Were they asking for directions? Greeting each other? Or was it a date? It was so frustrating. I didn't want to say yes anymore. If I agreed now, would he stop cherishing me? At the very least, I couldn't let him think I was someone he could easily get just by pursuing a bit. Once again, I turned him down, acting flirtatiously, but strangely enough, the distance between us grew even wider this time. When I returned home, the house was empty. In the past, when we had arguments, he never acted like this. Why did he leave without a word today? I couldn't reach him. I didn't know where he had gone. It was as if he'd vanished from the world. He left me behind. What should I do? Go look for him. But there were so many things at the company waiting to be dealt with. Should I just let it be? Maybe he was just throwing a tantrum. We completely lost touch. For 3 years, when we met again, he was already a high-level designer. In the end, he had reached that shining stage. His brilliance would be known to everyone. He would have more admirers and suitors. He would be surrounded by people. His path filled with flowers. He stood in the spotlight, and I was far, far away from him. How ridiculous. I was both happy for his success and terrified by his talent. How could I be so conflicted? As I expected, there was another girl by his side, younger than me, prettier than me, and most importantly, purer than me. I envied her. So simple, so pure. But I had crawled through the rotten world, tainted beyond repair, but I wasn't willing to let go. How could I let the love I had nurtured for so long be easily taken by someone else? I humbled myself and went to find Julian, begging him, could we start over? He refused without a moment's hesitation. Maybe in his heart, there was never any love between us in the first place. So how could we talk about starting over? It was really a huge joke. I watched as he slowly walked away. I stood under the lights, and Jessica also stood under the lights, and Julian walked toward her without looking back. In the end, I was still all alone.